Caleb with Brownells here, and in today's quick tip we're going to be talking about single stage versus two-stage triggers. Alright, so this video isn't meant to overload you with information. We're just going to give you just enough information to help you make an educated buying decision. Alright, so with that being said, I often get asked, should I get a single stage or a two-stage trigger? And I always reply, it's personal preference. One's not necessarily better than the other in all scenarios. It really depends. So let me just kind of break it down by talking about what a single stage versus two-stage trigger is. Let me just give you a demonstration here. So I have two BRN4s here in front of me, which are 416 clones. Alright, and this one here has a two-stage trigger, specifically the Geissele SSA-E lightning bow, which is my favorite trigger ever made for the AR platform ever in existence. This trigger's awesome. So with a two-stage trigger, it is just that you have two stages. So your first stage is going to be a little bit there, and that stage will be a weight depending on what trigger you have, right? It'll be, you know, whatever advertised weight. So the first stage will be, for all intents and purposes, we're just gonna say 3 pounds, right? So first stage is 3 pounds. It's not on this trigger. I don't remember what it is, but this is just a theoretically, right? Bear with me. All right, so first stage, and then the second stage is going to be your brake, which is another weight, which is typically a lighter weight. So let's call that 1.5 pounds, right? So 3 pounds, 1.5 pounds, that's a 4.5 pound trigger. This trigger is actually lighter than that, but that's your two-stage trigger. So you would add both of those stages to get your overall pull weight. The magic of it is, though, that because you already defeated that first stage, that second stage feels really light. You don't feel the added weight from the first stage. So these are great for making. I like these, actually I like to put these on my precision rifles as well. So like my bolt guns also have two-stage triggers just because I love two-stage triggers so much. And because I like to have the same general trigger feel on all my guns. Just so, because I suck, and if I don't have like the same general feel, I'll suck even more with that gun. And I'm trying to be a better shot, so there's that. But no, in all seriousness, the two-stage trigger, if you're going to use a two-piece trigger like your ARs are, right, not the cassette type triggers, the two-stage trigger is the most reliable and consistent way to get a light trigger pull. It's the safest way to do that. So these triggers, although they're light, they are extremely safe for that reason. Because if you were to drop your gun, it were to bounce on something, right? You drop it off a cliff, you do something where you slip and fall in the shower with your gun and it hits the ground, it's super safe. So that first stage may bounce just a little bit due to the inertia, but it's pretty much never going to get into that second stage. So those triggers are really safe triggers. Now, your single stage trigger. What is a single stage trigger? Well, it's just like that two-stage trigger, except that first stage is the brake. So that's the one and only stage. I start putting pressure on the trigger, and there's a little bit of creep there. That's not an actual stage, that's creep, which is the hammer traveling on the sear to slip off of the sear. And then it breaks. So typically, your single stage triggers, especially your mil-spec ones, they'll have a little bit grittier of a pull. It'll almost feel like that first stage is moving, even though it shouldn't. A good trigger has just a clean break, right? It's been described as breaking a piece of glass. There's no bend or travel, it just snaps. That's a good trigger. But a single stage trigger, in order to be safe and reliable, it has to be a little heavier. Now there are cassette type triggers out there, those one-piece drop-ins that have a little bit more going on in the trigger, and you can get those to be pretty light and safe in a single stage. But if you're going to use a two-piece trigger, which is your traditional style AR trigger, two-stage is the safest way to go. Now, with that being said, most two-stagers are typically a little bit more expensive for all the reasons I just stated, but there are plenty of people out there who actually prefer a single-stage trigger. And that's perfectly fine. Like I said, it was mostly personal preference. And this video probably does feel a little biased towards the 2-stage trigger. And that's just because I'm the one in the video and that's my personal preference, right? So you could watch another video where somebody absolutely leans towards single-stage triggers, and that video will give a vibe that 2-stage is inferior. So there's that. With that being said, hopefully that's enough information to help you make an educated buying decision. And if you have the opportunity, you have a buddy that has both, go and test them out, see which one you like the best. Some stores, like the Brownells retail store, we have a display with a bunch of just trigger units where you can test out all the different triggers. Those are great. If you have one of those near you, not a Brownells retail store because we only have one of those, right? But if you're near Grinnell, check that one out. Grinnell, Iowa, that is. But if you have a store near you that has something similar to that, check it out. Alright, so with that being said, that's everything. Now I'm just rambling, so I'm going to cut it off here. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to post them down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. That really helps us out, especially on YouTube. And if you need help with anything for any reason ever, feel free to give us a call on the tech line. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.